your thighs. Not just simple one muscle, there's a group of muscles that are stabilizing there. They work synergistically with your hamstrings and even with your quadriceps to control gait and movement and stabilization. So as all muscles are a tricky little group. So we're going to go over some stuff today that will get you hopefully feeling a little more open and a little bit more mobile. It's going to take a little while. I am down a foam roller right now, so if you have a foam roller, you're going to use one. I'm going to use this ball to show you how to foam roll. You can also use a harder ball if you have one. And ideally, you do self-myofascial release, so foam rolling or yoga balls to release the muscles before we stretch them. So that's the order that you want to do it in. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to focus on I'll do all of this on my right side, and obviously both sides important, but you'll just repeat it. So you're going to kind of take left leg out straight, right knee out on an angle. The foam roller, if you're using a roller, would go the lengthwise this way, and then we're rolling back and forth. And so you can go all the way from hip to knee. And as you're here, my ball is pretty soft, so it's not going to give me a lot of feedback, but you will start to feel where it's tightest, and then you want to kind of hang in there for a few breaths. The whole time you're here, you're basically in a forearm plank, so keep your belly strong, support everywhere else as you ask your body to open up here, otherwise something else can get kind of screwy. You want to be really connected. Hi, little mister, my assistant. And you'll stay in there for a few breaths. And you'll do that. You can take about 2 to 3 minutes to do that. I'm not going to take too much time to go over that. You can also move the leg around when you find a spot that feels like it is in need of attention, and just the act of straightening and bending the leg will kind of get you deeper into that. Again, staying strong through the core the whole time, staying strong through the shoulders the whole time, and you'll do that for as long as you need. The more often you do it, the easier it gets, the better it feels, and the less time it will take to do it. So the first few times takes a little longer. With repetition, it will go faster. Little mister does not like this ball. I'm gonna put that over there. All right. We're gonna work on some dynamic stretching, and then we'll get into some more deeper, longer holds that will help to open the muscles. But it's important to heat them and warm them and make them feel ready to go into those deep stretches, because if they're not, they're just gonna fight back, and then you're just fighting this losing battle. So we're gonna come to a standing position, and you're going to take your feet at least as wide as your hips, probably a little wider. I like a little wider. And you can hold your feet, you can hold your big toes. This is like a yoga style, yoga toe lock. So you can hold your big toes. You're going to drop your hips down, pull your chest forward, kind of hug those knees inward toward the elbows, and then straighten and fold. And you're just going to do that a few times. So you're going to drop and fold. You can play with the foot position here. So right now, my feet are straight ahead, but you can start to take the feet wide and turned open a little bit. And so you're actually pulling against your feet to lift and to fold. And so I would suggest doing both. I would do both straight ahead for 10 and then out on an angle for 10. And you're breathing with it. And then we'll angle the feet. And your range of motion may not be the same as mine. If your hips don't go as low, it's more up here. Totally fine. You're working within your range of motion. Doing your best to start to lift the chest as the hips sink down. Really nice. Coming down to seated. Taking the feet wide, knees bent, supporting from the back. Both knees go one way. Both knees go the other way. And again, about 10 times here. So internal, external rotation, just moving the thigh bone around in the hip socket. As you're doing this, I like to engage the glute here, bring the hip around, get a little psoas stretch at the same time. So we can't ignore the rest of the hips as we try and open the adductors. Left foot's going to be forward. Right knee is down. The length of the stance is going to probably change as you do this. We're sinking and lifting. Sinking and lifting. So my right foot's directly behind the knee. Sinking forward. Good. So we're stretching this adductor. At the same time, don't ignore this leg. Keep this foot pushing down actively. Let's go ahead and do the other side just because. Just because. Bring both knees down. Bring your hands down. Take the knees out. So this is going to be different for you than me. You're going to find where you're comfortable. Your feet are directly behind your knees. Straight arms or forearms, you're moving back and front. And I'm going to give you a side view of this. And you're going to want to make sure your knees are padded so that you are not bruising your knees and making that a factor that's pulling you out of it. And you're just moving forward and back. So the back end gets a little tricky because you're shortening in here in the psoas. You're just going as much as it feels okay and not creating any tension in there. And then when you find like you're feeling pretty good, we'll take a hold. And then maybe you'll notice that you can go a little deeper. You might not too. And you'll stay for probably 30 seconds to a minute. We're going to stay for about a minute right now. And there's a balance between passively stretching here and overworking. We want to find that right in the middle thing where you're gently pushing the knees into the ground. So you're activating those inner thighs as adductors so that they're not just being asked to lengthen and for your body to trust that. There's a little awareness that I have to support myself here. And so when you support yourself, when you're creating strength, when you're creating stability, the brain says, okay, it's okay to let go. So gently pushing the knees down, gently drawing the knees toward each other. They're not actually moving, it's just an energy thing. And then at the same time sinking the hips down and finding some softness to go a little deeper. breathing fully. Good to come out. We're going to push down, shift forward, bring your feet in toward each other, pick up, bring the knees in, and then just take a pause here. You can either just kneel or come into child's pose. Let the muscles react, respond. And then come on up. Okay. These are like, some of these are the obvious adductor stretches, but we're going to take them with like a little bit of a different approach. So bringing the foot to the inner thigh. You're going to bring your hand to your knee. This hand's going to support. You're going to push the knee into the hand, and then you're going to gently release down. So you're activating the muscle, and then pressing it out. Activating, and then pressing open. Activating, pressing open. So you're resisting back with the hand as you're activating the inner thigh. One more like that. Good, and then we pause here. And we're not jamming the knee open. We're just creating a little awareness that there's still this gentle pressing up and there's a gentle pressing down. Each thing equal opposite energy. As you're here, you are welcome to dig in and kind of see what you feel in here and what maybe needs a little bit of a release here. If you have a massager, you can kind of push that into that inner groin area and start to release toward the attachment. And then we'll do this on the other side. Knee comes up, and second side. Pressing up, releasing down. Pressing down, pressing down. So both the leg and the arm are pushing. And so it's like, who's winning the battle? Oh, the leg is, nope, the arm is. You're gonna get back and forth and shifting that energy until you find that balance where they sit evenly. And we'll take a pause. And then maybe you just start to relax the knee a little more and see if those muscles can release. You're not jamming the knee down. That's not going to make you more flexible. Forcing a stretch never makes you more flexible. You're just telling this muscle, it's okay to let go. You've been active, now can you let go? Couple more breaths. And then feet come together. And the feet don't have to be way in by your hips. They can be forward a little bit. I'm going to hold the feet. So if you're real tight, your knees are probably up here somewhere, or maybe one is up and one is down, right? Or somewhere in there. Inhale, exhale gently. Inhale, exhale gently. If you want, you start to do the same thing. Little resistance, little pushing with the arms into the legs, until you've like told the brain, these muscles are safe, we're just going to stay and we're going to soften. We're going to take this position onto your back. This position onto your back. Feet are together. So wherever those knees come, if they're up here, that's fine. I'm going to go a little higher with my knees because Naturally, I'm down here, but that might be impractical. So you're here, you're gonna bridge up. You're gonna hold the bridge, see if that feels okay, and then you'll come back down with control. And then you're gonna do that a few times, up and down, probably 5 times or so. Pushing into the pinky side of your feet. I'm gonna hold it up, and then we're just gonna do like a, I think of this like a tick-tock, a side to side, a teeter-totter. To one side, to the other side. Take it across, hips are up the whole time, and then over to the other side. Move slowly. Stabilize shoulders, stabilize with the upper arms. Last one. Come back through center, slowly release it down, and then bring the knees back up. Good. And then just take the feet out wide, drop the knees into each other. So just allow those muscles to release without feeling like they're being forced into opening. And then come back up onto your knees again. So we went on an angle this way, yeah? We're gonna turn our torso more square and keep this leg the way it was when we were here. So instead of having our torso turned open, we're gonna turn the torso straight ahead. So right away that might lessen the range of motion. And then you're gonna go forward and back. Forward and back. I'm going to hold it forward. I'm going to reach across. Little sink, pull it back. Reach across, little hold, bring it back. Reach across. I'm reaching over and across, and bring it back. Beautiful. We switch it. So we also want to keep the rest of the hip open because we can't just go right at the source and just hammer what's tight. You've got to kind of address the whole complex of the hip together. We're square, adjust the feet as needed. So you're trying to get your chest to come around. So we decrease range of motion, hold it forward, and we add that reach. Yes. Good. And then release it through center. Take a pause. Okay, hands come down. Feet go wide. few breaths here. Good. You're going to use your hands as support. We're coming off to one side. You can walk your hands over. We'll stay for a few breaths. And then we walk it over to the other side. And then we do this dynamically. We walk across. We bring it back. So just moving side to side. Starting to put a little more sort of pressure into that hip, into that, like moving the femur down and lifting the chest up. And we're going to take these toes, we're just going to angle them. We're going to do the same thing, but now we're going to take the other toes, lift up. As this feels good, or as this starts to open up, you start to re-square the feet. Meaning your toes point straight ahead. If you need to, you keep the toes open. If that's better on your body, you keep the foot externally rotated on a bit of an angle. And then we're going to come through center. Pause, heels come in. Arms at your thighs, just press the knees wide. And then a little shift side to side. And then settle. And then hands down, walk your feet in toward each other. Still about hips distance, kind of how we started here. You're gonna drop it down, get a little hold, maybe the hands pick up. Hands down. Straighten out the legs as much as you can, do that one more time. And then we come to our backs and lie down. You're gonna want either a block, like a yoga block, a ball works, a foam roller works, a blanket or a towel rolled up. That works as well. We're gonna do one leg at a time. You will lie down. I'm taking my right leg out straight. Left foot comes up toward the inner right leg, and then you're supporting. You're supporting behind the thigh, behind the knee. So we're getting now a more passive, restorative stretch on this inner thigh. And you would ideally hold this for probably 2 minutes. I'm not going to sit here for 2 minutes with you. I'm just going to show it to you. And you breathe. I always like to bring my hand to the area I'm focusing on, just to kind of give it the sense that you're releasing, you're relaxing. So allowing the psoas on this extended leg to release, allowing the psoas adductors on this bent knee to release out. And then focus on your breath. As I mentioned, ideally about 2 minutes there, perhaps even longer if it feels good. Coming out is important. Coming out is really important, especially if you've been here for 2 minutes or longer. That leg is really released and those muscles might be weak, and they might be, that might be one of the reasons that they're tight, is that they're weak. So you want to help your leg out of the position, and then you switch sides. And take the leg out, bend this leg, bring your foot to the inner leg, support. And where you support is important. Obviously, the further out toward your knee, and maybe it's not obvious, that's going to make it a more open stretch. The closer you come into your hip to support, the more that leg's going to be able to be up high and be really relaxed. So don't go to the extreme right away. Start fairly easy. So whatever support you're using, bring it pretty close into that hip. toward the outer thigh, and that way you're teaching your body to incrementally open up instead of just going to like the fullest point that you can possibly go. And as you're here, since you are here for about 2 minutes minimum, you can start to feel like, you know what, I can go a little deeper, and you move your prop out so that you can allow the leg to release more. So I'm not a huge fan of passive stretching, but passive opening I like. This sort of restorative supported, where you're actually supported. You're not just putting your body weight onto yourself to try to take a greater range of motion. You've now supported your body physically with some sort of a prop that allows you to get deeper here without straining. You can stay here for a little longer, so if you're doing this live, just pause it. And then when you come back, help the knee up. Bring both feet flat. Take the feet wide, turn the toes in toward each other, drop the knees into each other. And then come around to seated. You can just roll over, or you can rock up. Attempt a cross-legged seat to see how it feels. Give yourself a moment there. And then it's all about repetition. Do this again, do it again, do it again. Those are the days, right? Incremental days. It's going to be a collective effort and repetition to make this work and feel good. If any exercise within this layout doesn't work, you can leave things off. You can spend more time on the things that feel like they're really beneficial. So you can sort of tailor it to what your body needs. Don't expect because something doesn't feel good on one day that it won't feel good the next day. So it's always good to kind of try it, but if you find that with repetition, one exercise is not in your favor, just extract that one out, maybe come back and visit it at a later time.